Tuesday. If there's one thing I've learned about being a middle schooler, it's that the economy is completely rigged against us. The new Twisted Wizard 4, The Wizard Gets Twisted Again expansion pack drops this Friday. It costs $40, which might as well be $1 million when your primary source of income is finding quarters in the couch cushions. I tried to explain to Mom that playing Twisted Wizard is basically an investment in my hand-eye coordination, which will probably lead to a career as a brain surgeon. She didn't buy it. She handed me a mop and told me I could earn $2 by scrubbing the kitchen floor. $2! At that rate, I'll be in college by the time I can afford the expansion pack, and I won't even have time to play it because I'll be too busy failing chemistry. So I realized I needed a business plan, something low effort, high reward. That's when I saw Mrs. Craig struggling to drag her fat beagle down the sidewalk. A light bulb went off. Dog walking. People are incredibly lazy when it comes to their pets, and they will pay top dollar for someone else to pick up the poop. But obviously, I wasn't going to do the actual walking part. That defeats the whole purpose of being an entrepreneur. I needed an employee, someone with boundless energy, no understanding of labor laws, and a whole lot of free time. I needed Rowley. Wednesday. I pitched the idea to Rowley at lunch. I told him we were starting a premium high-end pet service called V.I.P. Paws. At first, he wasn't into it because he said he's afraid of dogs that are taller than his knees. But then I told him that as the Vice President of Canine Operations, he would get a plastic badge. That sealed the deal. We spent the afternoon making flyers and shoving them in mailboxes around the neighborhood. I made sure to put my phone number on the flyers so I could handle the corporate side of things, negotiating the cash, while Rowley went home to stretch his hamstrings for the field work. It didn't take long for the phone to ring. It was Mr. Jefferson, our neighbor from 3 streets over. He said his dog, Tiny, needed a walk, and he'd pay us $10. $10! I was already a quarter of the way to Twisted Wizard. I called Rowley, told him to meet me at Mr. Jefferson's house, and specifically instructed him to bring the heavy-duty poop bags. When we got there, Mr. Jefferson opened the garage door. That's when I realized the dog wasn't called Tiny because he was small. It was ironic. Tiny was an English Mastiff, the size of a mid-sized sedan. I immediately told Rowley that as Vice President, this was a great opportunity for him to show his leadership skills. I handed him the leash, which looked like it was made out of thick boat rope, and backed away slowly. Tiny didn't walk. Tiny explored, and wherever Tiny wanted to explore, Rowley went with him, whether his feet were touching the ground or not. At one point, Tiny saw a squirrel run up an oak tree in the park. Tiny charged. Rowley held onto the leash for dear life, and he actually went flying through the air like a human kite. I sat on a park bench and supervised. I even took a few notes on a clipboard to make it look official. Mostly, I was just calculating how many more times Rowley would have to risk his life for me to afford the expansion pack. 3 more walks and I'd be fighting digital goblins. After an hour of sheer care for Rowley and a very relaxing nap for me, we brought Tiny back to Mr. Jefferson. Mr. Jefferson came out and handed me a crisp $10 bill. "Good job, boys," he said. I tipped my CEO hat. "Pleasure doing business with you, sir." My associate really worked up a sweat giving Tiny the premium package. Then, disaster struck. Tiny sneezed, a massive, horrifying sneeze, and the leash jerked right out of Mr. Jefferson's hand. I don't want to talk about it, but I guess I have to. When Tiny got loose, he bolted straight across the street and into the Fregley's yard. Fregley was outside making a mud pie, and Tiny decided to help. By the time we caught him, the dog was completely covered in thick black mud. Mr. Jefferson was furious. He demanded his $10 back, and then he said we owed him another $20 for the professional dog grooming he was going to have to pay for. So not only did I not make any money for Twisted Wizard 4, I'm now in debt to an angry neighbor. When I got home, Mom asked how my little business was going. I told her the market crashed and I had to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. She just sighed and handed me the mop again. The worst part of all of this is I found out today that Mr. Jefferson actually felt bad for yelling at Rowley because Rowley kept apologizing and telling Tiny he was a good muddy boy. So Mr. Jefferson gave Rowley a $5 tip for having a good attitude. Rowley bought a shiny new yo-yo with the money. He's been doing tricks in my front yard all afternoon. I'm seriously considering charging him a loitering fee, but I know Mom would just make me mop the driveway.